Hi. After my last video I made, which was about the day in the life of a web developer, it's got a lot of hits, and which was quite good, but I was wondering why it got so many hits, because it was actually just something I made up to test out the camera and lighting and editing with Premiere Pro and things like that. So, but I think why it got a lot of hits is that there's a lot of people out there that just want to do a small business, much the same as what I'm doing, a one-man business where I get to sort of control what I do, when I work and things like that. Of course, my obsessive behaviour makes me work a long time, so a lot of hours. But yeah, I remember when I first started that I had no idea on how to proceed, what to do. So I think this video, or I might make a video series on what really to do to sort of end up doing web design, web development, programming, graphic artwork from a home business. Well, let's start with the gear I have at the moment. Okay, so the first thing I have here is a 4-disc storage unit, and this is a Lantec HX4. It's basically just there to be a backup of my backups. There's not much to tell about that. It's simple storage. The next thing we have next to it is my QNAP NAS. I have two NAS systems. There's a QNAP NAS and a Netgear NAS. So I would prefer QNAP, or basically I recommend QNAP more so because they have a lot more software in it, and it's a lot more user-friendly, and I just like it in general. Up top of that we have a microphone, my Rode microphone, and this is for when I record usually things like tutorials to help them through starting and how to use their website. Has a nice sound to it. I also do a little bit of professional recording in the sense of guitar playing, because I play a bit of guitar as well. So it's quite good for audio recording all around. Okay, then I have four 27-inch monitors. These are Samsung monitors. They're probably getting on a little bit now, but they're just 180p resolution. So first monitor I have set up for all of my work logs, FTP, what I'll be uploading. And the second monitor over here this is my main work monitor, and the reason for that is that it's directly in front of me. It's one of the two directly in front of me. So this one becomes the main monitor. This is where I put all of my things like Photoshop and Illustrator and also Dreamweaver, and put all that software onto this page and work mainly from this page here. The next monitor is used for viewing all of my work. So this will be the one that whenever I do anything, I can see how it views, and then I'll test it responsively and everything like that. So next monitor after that I usually use for all my emails and also folders. So I navigate through all my folders when I have to find things, and basically anything when I'm working on a client. The next one is really just a small old monitor, and this monitor is really just set up to run things like security cameras, so that I can just have a look to see if there's any clients here, or see if anything's happening outside the house that shouldn't be happening, but in all my time nothing ever has. So that's the screen setup. Let's have a look at the next level. So naturally this is just a cheap ass phone, nothing too flash about that, but what I do recommend is that headset right there, because the headset stays on my head quite a few hours in the day, because you're doing support, help, or talking to clients. So you want both hands free, so make sure you get a good high quality headset. I've had low quality ones in the past, and clients will always complain, oh, you sound a little bit tinny, I can't quite hear you. So make sure you get a good quality headset. We have my coffee cup. Coffee, a very, very important part of any web designer. I just have an iPad mini there, simply so I can play some music in the background, my iPhone for all the clients that talk to me. Well, this button here, and it basically just connects into a power board. And what this power board does is when I press it, it switches off all my lights and all my monitors, nice and simple, when I leave the room. So you can see there, and then everything comes back on. Then after that we have my Wacom tablet hiding there in the background, as well as my amplifier. Then we have my mouse and mouse pad. Now I do have a Logitech MX Master mouse. It's probably the best mouse out there, most comfortable. And that is a Razer mouse pad with the little fancy lights underneath it. Now this one here is the material top and not the hard top. And down here we have my G910, my Logitech keyboard. Quite a good keyboard. I'm very happy about the purchase on this. Just have a look at some reviews, but out of all the keyboards, I decided to get that one there. Now, once again, I don't do any gaming. Sometimes I work at night, and sometimes I don't like the room being all bright, so I like to have a backlit keyboard, and that's mainly the reason why I've got this one. Okay, so there you have a quick overview of my setup. This is just the gear that I put together because it helps me with my job, and also possibly because I like the look of it. That's a quick rundown of what's on the desk. Some people may find it interesting, some may not, but just gives you an idea of what I use to sort of do the job. So let's talk a little bit about my business. I own a business called DP Web Design, aptly named because my name is Danny Poole, so there wasn't too much creativity going into the name of it. So let's start there, the naming of the business. So I actually started off with it called DP Web Page. Now, as it moved on, I started to learn a little bit more about search engine optimization and realized that not many people search for web page. They search for web design or web designer or web developer. So I changed my name to DP Web Design. So really, the name of my business is really just for SEO purposes, and of course the DP, just to make it unique. So I didn't go for any sort of overly creative or trendy name. After all, it's really just a business, a working business, and I didn't have any aspirations to turn it into a multi-million-dollar business. I just wanted to work myself, work at home, and have a comfortable living from it. So that's pretty much where I'm at now, and it is to that stage where I'm working all the time, busy, sometimes too busy. I haven't had any downtime for quite a while, so that's good. When business starts off, or when web designers or developers, when they start off, you're probably looking at getting busy for a couple of weeks at a time, and then all of a sudden going through lulls. So you really do have to sort of accommodate for that. You will be starting off doing jobs for friends, for family, for anybody, possibly even for free, for clubs, sporting clubs, anything like that you may be incorporated with. Try and do as much work as possible, because that's how you're going to hone your skill. Now, if you happen to be going through university or college to learn this sort of business, that's also useful, but once again, you still have to keep on making. You have to make as many websites as you can, and it's going to take up a lot of time when you're starting up. This is a very time-hungry business. Now, what I mean by that is that you may set aside 10 hours to do a project or a website. Let's call it a website. Okay, very unrealistic, because it'll probably take you about 20 hours. And if you're learning, it'll probably take you about 40 hours. So there's a lot of time that gets wasted in the initial startup process of you learning and also starting your business. So where do you find your work? All I can tell you about is where I started with this business. My first job and my first love was music. I played in a band. I played around pubs and clubs and functions and weddings and did the whole thing. Basically, I'm a working musician. So I was out every weekend playing in the band. I also liked computers. I love computers. Now, one of the bands I was in, would have been just when the internet was kicking off. Well, here in Australia anyway. They said, well, we need a website. Can you do it? You're pretty good with computers, Danny. So that's where I took it on, and I started with, I think, Microsoft Front Page way back when, and navigating my way around making pages and also, uploading to the internet, learning the terminology, getting hosting and all that sort of thing. So it was a very interesting time knowing nothing. Also, back then there was no YouTube, so there was no help whatsoever. When I started, I had no one to talk with about finding how do I how do I upload something to a server? How do I get hosting? What is hosting? What's a domain name? How does a domain name work? All of this stuff. There was things on the internet, there was some stuff on the internet, but it was very raw back then. It was a real time-consuming effort to learn everything. So the good thing about now is that pretty much you can learn anything you want from the internet, as you know, anything from YouTube, as you're watching right now. I do remember when I first started, I called up businesses here locally who were also graphic artists and web designers and developers at the time, and talk to them. Now, the big problem about that is that you're basically competition, and you're ringing up people to figure out how to be their competition. So naturally, nobody was really eager or keen to sort of give out that sort of information. Now, I'm giving out this information here because, hey, it's everywhere. It's all over YouTube, but all I'm doing is showing you my perspective of what I did to get where I am. Now, I must say that it's just my opinion, this is. Okay, there's people that will do business courses, there's people that will do university or college for web design, for coding, for IT, anything like that. And they are most probably, well, they will be more qualified. Okay, but I do run a successful business where it keeps me busy and keeps me paid and pays the rent, pays everything I need, plus a little bit extra on the side to get me some stuff that I like. Right, some days I work hard, some days I don't. So if this sort of thing appeals to you, then please listen on. So as I was talking about before, where do we find the work, or where do I find the work? Where did I? When I was first starting, I was in a band. I did the website for the band. It was terrible. It had every bad thing you could possibly put into a website. It was on a black background. It had stars. I'm pretty damn sure it had stars. So it had stars, things, banners flying across, things blinking. It had a trail following the mouse. So it was just purely horrible. So we all have to start there. You can't start off as a professional. You can't start off with an eye. You can develop it quickly, but I think that you all have to, you know, everything you do, you improve yourself with. So after that, I did a website for another band that was here around town. And I think I did a website for about 3 or 4 bands here in Townsville, because naturally they said, where'd you get your website done? So obviously they were easily impressed. And then after that, I started to get a few websites up my sleeve, and then through word of mouth, I started getting jobs for things like metal fabrication companies, there was photography companies. So you know, all of these jobs started to come in through word of mouth. So I never really have advertised. I did local, local yellow pages and local directory advertising, but I never really took on any sort of hard sell advertising where I went around knocking door to door or sending out email blasts or things like that. Pretty much everything that I've ever done is through word of mouth. So in this startup time, I was working my other job. So I was actually teaching music at a few schools, also teaching private lessons for guitar in the afternoon. Plus, on my down days, or not busy days, I would do web development. So it was a bit of a crisscross. So it was a nice, comfortable crossover from one to the other. But I did start to get busier in web design. So eventually I started phasing off all of the music. Now, even this has happened to the stage now where working on the weekends with the band has now stopped because basically I work a lot through the week, so I like to have my weekends off. Things to remember when you're starting out is to get some work, you have to get a portfolio up. Get that body of work up, otherwise you're really presenting yourself blindly to a customer or client. They don't know what you can do and they don't know how professional it's going to look. So it's very important, and this is why you start to do jobs for free, for your sporting clubs, for your bands, for your friends' businesses. You start doing it all for free, or for a carton of beer, or whatever you payment that you want to get, that you would be happy taking from a friend. Get them to pay for hosting. Get them to pay for a hosting environment where you can put other websites on. So once you have this body of work up, then naturally you're going to want to start on your own website. Now this is very, very important because your website is telling the whole world and all clients what sort of work you can do, because this should be the best you can do. You know, you're showing off of this, you're doing the cartwheels and everything, so it has to be good. So spend a lot of time doing your website, the way it looks, the way it works, and also the way that other people will view it. It's great to get other people in and say, rightio, have a look at my website. Just let them sit down and just say, can you go to my portfolio? But don't tell them where to go, don't tell them how to get there. Let them navigate themselves and watch how they do it. Watch the confusion they have, or how easily they get from one place to another through that particular website, because it's all still a learning process. So when I started on a website called Guitar Tutor Online. It's still alive and active today, and it's had several reincarnations, as well as my business website naturally has had several as well. So that was an in-depth site about how to play the guitar. So it taught me how to do graphics, integrate graphics, audio, video, and put together a large structured site. So that was very handy for me. That was my own hobby that I put into website format. Then after I did that, I really started to work on my business website, which was DP Web Design. So, and once again, when I started doing that, it was pretty bad. It was bad to average at best, which it has to be, because you do have to learn what's bad so you can see what's good. I would always look at competition and emulate what they were doing as well, as much as possible, without trying to sort of copy anything that they did, because I always wanted to try and be unique. In actual fact, every website I did when I started, I always tried to have something in it that I hadn't done before, which was a very handy sort of a thing, because it made me learn a lot as well. All right, so I guess I've yapped enough for now. So I hope this has been a little bit helpful. Any sort of comments that you do have on what you would like to know about in sort of a video format? I love all constructive criticism, and this is a learning process for me as well. Once again, I don't claim to know everything about web design. All I'm doing is giving my opinion of what worked for me and what didn't work for me. You'll take it on board and take in the good stuff and spit out the bad. All right, so please leave comments down below, and see you next time.